Hello guys, welcome back onto the channel and into one more daily race in GT Sport. We qualified in 4th place in the Audi TT Cup 2016 and we're going to be driving around the Kyoto driving park. I think this is the Miyabi layout. I always confuse the layout names, so I'm not entirely sure what is the proper name of this layout, but it doesn't matter. There are a bunch of Audi TTs in this race that I noticed, and also a couple of Hurricanes, which seem to be quite a fast car in this group. So over this first corner, this is always the section that I kind of lose the most time. I cannot seem to get this one straight, and even though I know what is the correct line, I don't seem to be as fast as the other people. So maybe I should be trying something different rather than relying on the line that I know. I noticed that a lot of people tend to take this corner on the outside and go for a late apex rather than just sticking to the inside line, which is what I do. And I learned that by watching, I think, Z28 video. By the way, I really recommend his channel if you want to know your way around the tracks. He uploads really nice guides around some of the tracks. So I recommend that you check his channel out. Just type in Z28 and you should be able to find his channel pretty easily. But we're up in 3rd place. Now it's between me and the 2 Hurricanes in front of me. Hurricanes can be really quick in this car division, so it's gonna be a little bit difficult for me to catch up to them if the racers in front of me are really good. I know that the 1st place is actually a really fast guy. I've raced with him in a couple of other races, so I know this guy can be really quick. Now we're kind of gaining on this Hurricane in front of us. We are shortening the gap. I'm gonna go for the inside line. This guy's gonna turn in on me. I had the inside line, of course, is gonna get edged out wide, and he should have given me space, maybe sticking to his line rather than trying to go from the outside to the inside line while I was on the inside. But anyways, I hope I didn't screw him up that bad, and apparently I didn't because he's still in 3rd place, so that's good news. He's fairly close to me, and the 1st place is pulling away from me consistently. I'm off the pace. There's not much I can do about it. I'm pushing as hard as I can, and unless he makes a mistake, I don't think I'm going to be able to catch up to him over the next lap and a half. So we're halfway through the 2nd lap. The fastest lap was set by the 1st place. No surprises here. And something happened to the guy behind me, the guy in the Hurricane that I overtook over that section that I always get wrong. And we managed to widen the gap between him and us. So that's great news because it gives me a little bit of breathing room, so I don't have to worry about him overtaking me. And I'm still trying to reel the 1st place in, but he's pulling away consistently. And that's the thing that I find with most of these really fast racers in Gran Turismo Sport. Gran Turismo Sport doesn't have any sort of driving line or suggested line like the ones that you found in Forza games, for example. And I find that the racers in Gran Turismo Sport tend to be a lot more consistent as a result, because they don't rely in artificial guides to know their way around the tracks. They mostly learn the tracks by referencing visual cues around the track itself, like boards, shadows, or stuff like that. And the fact that the weather in Gran Turismo Sport and the time of day are both static, it helps you out a lot because shadows don't change position as you progress through the race. So the same shadow that you may use as a reference in a corner is going to stay there throughout the entire race. It's not going to move ahead or back. And somehow we managed to gain quite a lot over this guy. I think he might have made a mistake or might have took uh, one of the corners a little bit slower than he used to. Now this section here is really tricky because you can take this one fairly quick, but you need to be careful in order not to cut the corner, which is something that happens quite a lot for people who try to go really fast through this section. And but I said that I started to gain on him, but he's starting to pull away, and I don't know what happened in there, but um, we almost overtook him because he started to slide out before the end of the race. But that was a really decent result, especially when you consider the quality of the racers I was racing up against. So I'm pleased with the second place, and I'm not gonna complain about that. Moving on to the second race of the video, we're doing a one make race, and we're driving the newly added Supra RZ, one of the most requested cars in this game. And we qualified in fourth place. We're driving in one of the new layouts in Autodrome Lago Maggiore, and this is a fairly high speed layout. Lago Maggiore is already a fairly high speed track overall, but these new layouts are mostly high speed for the most part of the track. There are a lot of straight lines, and this guy brakes a little bit too much. I end up losing quite a bit of time, and the fourth place just pokes in the bottom of my screen, but somehow I managed to keep my place. This section here is quite tricky, especially so with this car in sport soft tires, because uh, you can slide out around that section. And as you can see, I'm running traction control at 1 and counter steering assist, as I have been doing over the last couple videos. Now the counter steering assist, again, I need to do a video on that, because there's a misconception around this assist that people seem to think that this is some magical switch that you can toggle on and off, and they think that it magically makes you win races, and that's not the case. Does it make you faster? It does, but very slightly so. I make contact with this guy. I let him go. I let him through because I don't want to take his position like that. The first place slides out and is out of the run, so it's up to me and this guy to battle for the first place. Of course, he already has the first place, so it's up to me to actually catch up to him and try to get his place. And it's quite tricky to overtake in this sort of daily races, because we'll make races are all the same cars, so there are no differences in speed, and tuning is not allowed, so pretty much everybody's running the same car in the same configuration, so it's up to your ability and luck as well. But as I said, counter steering assist makes you faster, but not that much. It's not as much as people seem to think that he makes. And one of the things that people seem to think is that you cannot spin out with a counter steering assist, and in fact you can. Exactly the same as you would with it off. If you push your car harder than it can take it, and you try to go faster than the car can take around the corners, it's gonna spin out just the same as with it off. The only thing that counter steering assist is gonna help you on is that whenever you're going around corners and your car tends to oversteer a little bit, and for most part of the time oversteering in this game with the counter steering assist off means that you're gonna spin out for sure. You're not gonna be able to straighten your car out. The counter steering assist is gonna help you exactly on that. It's gonna correct a little bit of the oversteering so that you don't spin out that easily. But as I said, if you come out of corners at full throttle and your car can take it, it's gonna spin out just the same. And I think I'm gonna do a video on that, showing how it is to run with it on and with it off. I go a little bit wide in here, so I lose quite a bit of time. The first place starts to pull away, but I managed to reel him in very quickly, as you can see by the, the gap that is shortening. And that's what I had to say about the counter steering assist on this video. It's that it's not a magical switch that you can toggle on and off. It doesn't work like that. I've been running with it off since the game launched back in October, and I only turned it on earlier in January, and that's maybe 5 or 6 videos ago. And to be honest, I prefer with it on because the car feels more nice to drive. And I don't know, I don't like to be fighting with the car so much so that I don't think that I'm not in control, that I think that I'm not in control of the car anymore. And the counter steering assist does help with that. But anyways, back into the race. The very reason why I'm speaking so much about other things is that not much is happening in this race. The same battle that has been going on since the beginning of the race hasn't changed so much. I'm still in second place. I'm still getting close to this guy. Then he starts to pull away a little bit. Then I reel him in again. And that's pretty much all the back and forth that's been going on since we crossed the starting line in this race. We're on the last lap. We just have one more corner left to go, and that's a very crucial one because if he makes a mistake, I'm going to be able to overtake him. Apparently, I managed to take the corner a little bit faster than he did, and I'm starting to gain on him. As you can see in the gap right under his name, I'm just a little bit under 6 tenths, a little bit over 6 tenths behind him. So that was a really close finish and a really nice one. That was a really enjoyable race because it was a battle right through the end. Even though I didn't get the first place, it was a really nice one to do. Moving on to the third and last race of the video, we're going to be racing in Nurburgring 24-hour layout. I think this is the very first time that I actually raced this track in online mode in the daily race. And of course, we're driving one of my favorite Group 3 cars, the BMW Z4. I've uploaded a video, I think about a month ago, showing a win that I managed to pull with this car. This car can be really quick, really good. It's a very balanced car, but it can be tricky out of the corners. You need to go really easy on the throttle, otherwise you're gonna spin out really quickly. And there's this guy in front of us in the Nissan GTR. We get punted a little bit in there, but nothing too bad. I don't think it was intentional. That first corner can be really tricky to nail down. And we're side by side with the GTR. We take up the first place on the inside line, so of course we have the advantage. But over the second corner, he had the inside, but he wasn't on, so he couldn't take advantage of that. So we managed to keep our first place. This is a 2-lap race, so we're looking at about 17 minutes of racing total, which is a quite long race. Of course, I'm gonna be skipping ahead at certain points, but for most part of this race, it was a really close battle between me and this Nukel guy in second place, driving the Nissan GTR. And as I said, this car is a really good all-arounder. It's really stable, of course, if you are careful coming out of the corners. You cannot go full throttle in most of the corners. You need to feather your throttle coming out of the corners so you don't spin out. Even though I'm running the counter steering assist, this can still happen. So this is something that you need to be really careful when driving this car. And we just came out of the Grand Prix layout and into the main Nurburgring layout, which is my favorite part. Nurburgring is my favorite track across all racing games. I have very specific favorite tracks in very specific games, like tracks that you can find in any other game, like Tokyo, Autodrome, Lago Maggiore. are two of my favorite tracks in Gran Turismo, in this Gran Turismo. But when it comes to overall tracks that are present in most racing games, Nurburgring is easily my favorite one. And the reason for that is actually two. One of them, I really like long tracks, as I've said many times before. I like tracks that take like 8 to 10 minutes to do a full lap on. And another thing that I really love about this track is how many corners you have and how smoothly it flows, even though it has so many corners. The layout of this track to me is very close to perfection when it comes to racing. And I like that. You have tricky sections, you have twisty sections, you have high speed sections with corners that you can take flat out, but you need to be careful uh, in how you take them, otherwise, you can easily go off the track. And it has a little bit of everything, this track. It caters to pretty much everything that I think is nice about a racing track. This guy, uh, I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but somehow he thought cutting the corner and trying to go through the inside was a good idea. Of course, that's gonna cost him quite a bit of time, and as you can see, he's really quickly uh, dropping positions. He went from second place all the way down to fifth place, and he's gonna drop even further as we progress through the race. So I'm really glad that it happened to him because he didn't seem to be a clean racer anyway. And the fact that he got up to second place when Nucal was really consistent tells me that he managed to uh, get so quickly close to us because he was cutting corners and driving dirty. So we're still in first place. We have a little bit over 2 second gap over Nucal in second place. And as you're gonna see, this guy is really consistent uh, in this race. I go a little bit too wide in here, and I thought it was gonna cost me a lot more than it did, but fortunately it didn't. So I'm glad that I still managed to maintain a 2 second gap over the second place, but he's starting to reel me in. This corner here is a little bit deceiving because it's a little bit uh, narrower than it seems to be. When you're approaching that corner, usually you think that the corner is a little bit on the deep side, but it's not. It's really narrow. And the second place is still consistently catching up to him, to me. And there's tire wear and fuel consumption on in this race, so that's something that we really need to be careful because the more you go off the track, the more you dip the wheels onto the grass, the more you slide out your car, uh, the faster your tires are gonna wear, and the more trouble you're gonna have keeping your car under control, especially so in a track like this where there are so many corners. And as you can see, the guy that cut the corner a couple minutes ago is nowhere to be seen in the first 8 places. So either he left the lobby or he dropped down even further. And as you can see on the map, on the right, on the top right of the screen, the field spread is not that wide. It's pretty close actually, which is something I don't normally see in Nurburgring. I've run this track online in online lobbies, not in the daily races before, but usually what you have in tracks like this is a wider spread in the field because people tend to make a lot of mistakes in tracks like this, but that's not the case, which tells me that the racers in this race are above average when it comes to consistency and know what they're doing. And there is this please refuel warning right on the center of the screen that I find really distracting. I don't know if there's a way to turn it off, but I'm gonna dig around to see if I find an option to turn it off. If there's not an option to turn that off, I really wish that Polyphony Digital gave us that option in a future update. That will really help us out maybe moving it all the way to the top of the screen, which there is a plenty of space on the top of the screen, or maybe allow us to turn it off altogether, which is what I would prefer anyways. And as you can see, the gap between me and the second place is pretty much consistent since we started this race. There are certain sections where he manages to get closer to me. There are certain sections that I seem to be faster than him, so I start to pull away quite a bit. And I didn't take this corner as well as I should. I lost a lot of speed, and as you can see, he's really quickly approaching me. And that's not a good spot for him to be gaining so much on me that quickly, because we're about to go through the main straight of the track. And I'm pretty sure that he's gonna be able to overtake me at this point, especially so because at this point he might be tucking into my slipstream and gaining quite a lot of speed because of that. And as you can see, the gap is really shortening really quickly, and he's gonna pull up by my side, and he's gonna take the first place. And before we cross the line into the second lap, we need to go for our pit stop. I brake a little bit too much in here. He could have taken that corner faster, but I think he wanted to play safe and he didn't want to risk, so that's understandable. And we're both gonna go into the pit lane for a really quick pit stop. We need to replace our tires and to refuel our tank a little bit, just enough to take us through the entire second lap. So, and we're back into the race. Somehow I managed to keep my second place, which is awesome news. And something really weird is gonna happen to this Nukel guy. He's gonna stop his car, and I don't know what happened there. I don't know if his... there are a lot of things that could have happened. Maybe it was a bug, maybe his controller ran out of battery, maybe... I don't know. There are many possibilities that could explain what happened back there. So we're gonna skip ahead to the end of the race because not much happened. I managed to widen the gap by 12 seconds, and we both got penalties. Actually, he lost the second position to DT Mansell, and he's gonna end in third place. And I managed to finish with an 11-second gap over the second place. So that was a really pleasing result. That was a really enjoyable race for many factors, one of them being how long this race was. So I don't know what happened there. As you can see behind the finishing result, the race result, I got stuck into something that's in the middle of the track, and I can't seem to dodge that. But anyways, that was another victory. I haven't won a lot of races. As you can see, I have only 8 wins in this game, which is not a lot. So it's really nice when a victory do happen. But anyways, guys, I hope you had fun watching the video. If you did like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more GT Sport content, share the video with your friends and on your social media. It helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate the help. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description down below or at the beginning of the video. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.